Do you hold ETH but don't know what to do with it? Want to earn those juicy liquid staking derivative yields but don't know where to start? Well, Frax ETH is there for you. Frax ETH is Frax's native LSD solution, allowing you to earn boosted yields in multiple ways on your ETH. If you want to get started, go to app.frax.finance and turn your ETH into Frax ETH today.
Hello, everybody, to a special episode of Flywheel. I'm here. I get to be the host for today, and I got Dave and Kit with me as well, too. We had a very special interview that we were going to share with you this week, but instead we're going to push it into January because we wanted to go back through the entire last year and cover all the major stories that happened for Frax and just go over how significant this year was for Frax and also look forward into next year as well, too. So welcome, guys.
Welcome. Thanks.
Yeah.
Excited to be here. Been quite the year for Frax, been quite the year for Flywheel. Along with Frax, we should talk about like some of our favorite Flywheel moments, highs and lows of the year, because there were definitely a lot.
So we kicked off the year with a bang back in January when Dave submitted the Flywheel grant application to the FraxDAO. We secured our big round of funding, which has carried us through the year and allowed us to be an independent media company that's covered Frax. I thought that was a big win for us at the time. Yeah,
it definitely was a big win. Keep getting support from the community and the DAO and the leadership. I remember at times like you have like people in the chat be like, why this? It's blah, blah, blah. And like even Sam would come in and stick up for us. I'd like literally be sleeping. I wake up, I'm like, oh shit. Like, that's good. So like, having that type of buy-in and support. And I think like they know how valuable it is and how valuable we are. And I think this year we really stepped it up on a number of fronts, whether it was like more content, better, more updates, actual events, that were renowned, more both events online and in real life. Online, we had the hackathon, we had the Frax educational incentives, a lot of experimentation there, a lot of great projects submitted there. We hosted all these different events, whether in all these different happy hours over the world. Like my personal favorite one that we hosted was in Hong Kong, like seeing all those builders out there and like seeing the Frax faithful out east is really cool because they like understand it from like a different. It's like out west, like you have like the builders that like respect the grind, but out east, like damn, they're really running like this, on-chain bank in some way. Like they like really respect it in a different manner. So, overall, like I think like Flywheel, we all stepped up this year, and I'm excited to see what next year brings.
Yeah, we have a couple more days, and hopefully our new grant proposal goes out, which everybody that listens to the podcast, you'll be able to see what we have planned for next year.
It's going to be a big year. Upgrade. This is going to be a big proposal, to say the least. It's going to be unlike any proposal in the past. I wouldn't even call it a grant. I would call it something else, but I won't say what it is.
What a tease.
So notably, we went from just the three of us starting in 2021, and now we have a big team. There's a lot of people who,
there's six people. Yeah.
It's been pretty incredible that time period. Have brought on some amazing talent that is working in support of us. And, we couldn't do it without them because they're, you guys don't see them much, but they are like, it's not 10X developers. They're just like 10X at what they do.
So adding people, I feel like everybody has, fit their place quite nicely. And I feel like you definitely see it in our content, whether it's our shorts or whether it's our threads, whether it's our events as well. Like we really stepped it up this year, whether it's our website too. Shout out to everyone at Flywheel behind the scenes, Pipo, Phil, Carissa, keep doing what you're doing. And, the core Flywheel team is going strong.
Yeah. And if anybody wants to help with Flywheel or write or do anything and you're listening to this podcast and you want to do something about Frax, just get in touch. We're always happy to.
They'll have an opportunity to. Trust me. Yeah. They'll just wait till the proposal comes out.
Because
soon TM.
This year we've had articles from CryptoVestor, who's come on as a biweekly writer. Additionally, we've had some writings from, I believe Ouroboros wrote something for us.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
we helped him with something. We helped
Yes.
him with, yeah.
Yeah. And overall, we've had a bunch of other contributors who have helped with Flywheel along the way. And, we're always open to speaking with new people. If you really love Frax and want to get some stuff off your chest, then this is the place to be. It's the right community for you. So just reach out. We're here, and you can come to our Telegram channel to find more about that. Okay, so going back to January, right? We got more information about the veFPIS docs at that time. It's crazy that we didn't have like FPI or like FPIS at the beginning of January. It feels so long ago. Also, Dave, you kind of brought up the idea of a EigenLayer integration with StakeFrax ETH at the time.
Yeah. Once again, I see into the future.
Yeah.
I had a mustache for the first half of the year.
Were you
right.
beard? Were you full beard?
No, I think it was mustache for like from January to June.
Yeah.
I was 10 years older.
What did you like better, the handlebar mustache or the full beard?
Oh, different eras. I think they both really spoke for themselves. They both had like an ego, but in like different ways. The mustache was really commanding. The mustache was just like, "Hey, I'm here." Like, the beard was, the beard was more of like a hippie vibe. Like the mustache was more of like a 20s, like stockbroker, like stock market, roaring 20s vibe, or like cowboy or Western, like Wild West vibe. Like I'm walking to the saloon, like, look at this. Like, I don't know which one. I probably like the mustache better, to be honest. I think like the mustache, like looking back, like when I look back at the beard, I'm like, damn, that thing's out of control. But when I look back at the mustache, I'm like, damn, that thing was like real thick.
It was pretty good. I don't think many people can pull off the handlebar mustache, but you definitely did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it had a life of its own, but it had its time, and then I just felt like shaving it off, and got younger 10 years, like my Brian Johnson era.
Well, February was the actual veFPIS launch. That was pretty cool. I remember that. FPIS went up by like 100% during that time period. It was sitting at like the low ones, and it went up to 2 for a bit. It was a big launch for Frax, with 5 million FPIS locked in the first week. The yields were in the triple digits for quite a while, and it was a great narrative for Frax at the time because inflation was just starting to kick off, and people were really worrying about like the CPI and everything. We also had a vote, pretty significant vote that carries through today. That was FraxDAO vote to set the CR to 100%. I think this was prophetic, really. Post Luna, post UST, we just decided that 100% had to be there, right? That playing around with people's money by being under the collateralization ratio was just kind of dangerous.
Not working.
Especially if you're going to scale into the billions, right?
Yeah, like that was a landmark proposal because, before it was like baked into the DNA of Frax was, like with this hybrid stablecoin, you can be under collateralized. And that was a real turning point, saying like, actually the right way model is to be 100% collateralized, but the fractionalization comes from the backing. It's like, oh, we have some in this AMO, some in that AMO, but it's not actually like under collateralized with an endogenous asset like FXS.
Yeah. And Kit, you've talked about this before about how when we were pushing lower on the collateralization ratio, it actually gives Frax a lot more power. Like every percentage point that the CR goes lower, Frax has a ton more firepower that it can use in DeFi.
Right.
So
it just doesn't need to. Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We also had some nice Aave stuff that will come back. Actually, this was an interesting story, right? Like Aave first proposed to add StakeFrax ETH to their protocol back in February, and it just got forgotten. Like, I guess we didn't have a Chainlink Oracle at the time, and it just didn't happen. Dave, I know you talked about, like, we just did another show earlier, and you talked about how getting a lending market set up is like just as hard as a
Sucks.
centralized exchange, but it's almost harder.
It's harder.
It's
because
harder.
like with the centralized exchange, you're just talking to the centralized exchange
One
and they have
person.
everything.
And they list it.
But on London, you're talking to the Oracle, you're talking to the platform, you're talking to like whatever, like it's all
And
these
governance.
different, and you're talking to governance, like you're talking.
Yeah.
It fucking sucks. I can't like I hear it from teams all the time. And it's just like God, yeah. So it's just a shitty process. And like as Sam said in the space last week, he was saying like the more automated DeFi is, the more true it is to its ethos, and the better it is. And automation, you're just like letting things run and like taking people out of it. And so like whenever you can get oracles out of the picture in a safe manner, the better it is. Like I'm all for oracleless futures. Like I'm really excited about oracleless protocols, whether it's like BAMM or Panoptic or whatever else is out there.
All right, guys, time to get to the gritty part of the episode. Actually, you know what? This one has some like March was like a bad month, but it also had some great stuff as well too. Should we start with the good or the bad, or maybe the ugly?
Let's do the ugly.
So the ugly was the USDC Depeg. Black Swan event.
Good one.
SVB goes down. We're all kind of in the lurch. Frax goes to 92 cents. I honestly thought that we were done, that this was the end.
Oh no, I was buying. I was
you
buying.
were?
Not financial advice. I was like, "There's no way. This is it.
Oh my god! Yeah. I was like, FTX, Luna, now this. Like, how much worse can it get?
Yeah. So let me. This was quite funny because I was literally. So every March, my father-in-law like has to get the winemaking process started. So we were like washing grapes or doing something of that nature, and then I started seeing this happen, and I was just like, wait. So I had to I was literally in farmer gear, like straight up farmer gear on my laptop with my ledger, click clacking, and it was just such an intense moment. I remember it vividly, and it's quite nice. But it also made me realize that the chain is completely unusable during moments like that. I was not able to get transactions through. I was putting like 500 Gwei on things, and it doesn't work. And I was just like, damn. That was that's why this scalability, this modularity, like all of this is like so critical now that we're doing real shit. Like that was a couple $1 billion like being moved around, and yeah, we definitely needed a better tech.
So during that time period from January, the Frax shares price was kind of bouncing around $10 to $12 for a while. But come March, started to sell off quite heavily. We went from $12 all the way down during the USD collapse or USDC collapse, all the way down to 650. And I thought that was pretty crazy. Like when we went to 650, it wasn't. There was some stuff later on.
450.
Yeah, we went down to. I see bottom tick on Binance down at like 458 in June, which like when that we'll get to June in a bit, but when FXS bottomed, I was like having a heart attack. I was like, oh my god, like, because I mean we all have big Frax shares bags, and I was like, are we going to 2? Like, when's this going to stop? Like,
I mean, they defend 4.
They defended 4. Yeah, we'll talk about that in June once the buybacks come.
4.
So the Depeg, it happened over the weekend. Remember, it was like Friday when they shut down the bank, and then we had the whole weekend to just like marinate on like what the hell is going on. Nobody knew what was happening. Like I really was shocked that USDC depegged in any way or form. But the whole like vibe at the time was so weird. It was just bad vibes.
It's like, how could this get any worse?
Yeah. Notably, okay, so actually there's ugly and then good and then great. So let's go on to the good. We also had during the USDC Depeg, we had the highest one-day fee income for stake Frax ETH. with
Oh
80
yeah,
ETH.
some crazy MEV type beat.
And then the big thing for March, outside of the USDC Depeg, was that Frax V3 was announced, and Sam gave his stablecoin maximalism talk. Also, you gave your talk at ETH Denver about regulations. It was a
Oh
busy
yeah,
month.
that was a busy month. Yeah, that was a good conference. That speech set the stage for the rest of the year of like the drum that Frax was beating, and I feel like for 2024 we have like the same thing with Frax Chain.
Yeah. Hopefully Sam's giving a seminal ETH Denver talk as well
Oh,
too.
I'm sure he will.
But it's so cool how like Sam defined out stablecoin maximalism and it just came true. Like everything that he said manifested itself within the year. 9 months.
9 months. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Additionally, in March, we got the Arbitrum airdrop. We got 500K ARB. We also deployed the WETH-R incentives. So like the sister reward mechanism to Frax Base Pool, where people compare against Frax ETH. Coinbase called for flat coins, which we're still talking about today. I know Sam's still big on FPI.
Yeah, you literally called FPI like the tether of flat coins.
Yeah. Also, Reserve launched with the EUSD Frax Base Pool. Flux, we got onboarded. We onboarded Flux Finance into the approved AMO list, and Fraxlend was deployed to Arbitrum.
I know you've been waiting for that for a while. The Fraxlend Arbitrum.
I hope it comes. I really do. That this is the month for like at least stake Frax ETH right on Arbitrum. I'm gonna be too poor to do an Ethereum transaction soon, guys. I claimed some veFPIS or claimed FPIS today from the contract. It cost me $50 to claim.
It's like, why would anybody trade on ETH? It's so expensive. So like, if you're a new user, it's like, where do you go? And
They're happy to pay though.
Oh, you know what I was thinking about? Like people complain about like, oh, like well, Ethereum is in this like weird place because you have Solana, which is like super nice UX, and then you have Bitcoin, which has worse UX and higher fees, but people are still over there because it's Bitcoin playing with ordinals and like whatever else is under the sun. So, and then you have like ETH in this like weird middle place where it's not exactly Bitcoin and it's not exactly Solana. It's just like middle child at the moment.
Yeah. So I hope we get some more Arbitrum stuff. I like Arbitrum a lot. The more I've used it, I think they have a great community. And it's nice that Frax has gotten so ingrained there. All right. So April, we had the Shapella upgrade. Also, man, what a crazy 2-month period.
Wow.
So over 1.5 million ETH was in the queue to come out during the great reshuffling, I think is what they called it. We got a bunch of new inflows for Frax ETH, and it was a nice. I remember it felt good to get the switch. Also in April we had the USDP base pool, also known as Frax PP, that was added.
Oh yeah, and then we also went to Tokyo, or I went to Tokyo.
Yeah,
we had the Tokyo happy hour. That was fun, and I met some stablecoin people in Tokyo. And Tokyo has an interesting crypto scene, from like the people I talk to. I mean, because it's just Japan's just like a whole different world. It's like its own universe, and so like crypto there is its own universe as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, what was the event that you and Kit got together at?
That was in Singapore in September.
Yeah, that was way later. So let's
later.
Go. I like this. I like this memory down, a memory lane right here.
That was a good event too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Dave, you're the globetrotter, right? So maybe like, and Kit, I've been stuck at home. I just went to ETH Denver last year for the conference scene, but Dave, you've been to like pretty much every single conference.
I'm fucking exhausted, but I have to do it
in the last like year or 2 years. Like what has been the favorite of 2023?
My favorite conference of 2023. That's a good question. That's tough. I think it's tough to say. I mean, they've gotten so big now. I'm starting to really like the smaller side events. Like, I really like what Stable Summit's doing. I really enjoyed Stable Summit in Paris, and also in Singapore. I think those guys are doing a really good job throwing events and repping stable coins. It's really much needed. And they'll be throwing something in Denver, and they have Centrifuge and PayPal as sponsors. So that's interesting to see. So Stable Summit. What else? I mean, honestly, I think like we threw the best events. I think like the Denver happy hour was my favorite happy hour of the year. Yeah. I think that was like it was just a really good event. Like the line out the door, the people, it's at the end of the day, it's the people, it's what makes a good event is like the setting, like where you have it, and then the people that come and make of it. And so like there, like you had all these different builders and VCs and investors, and everybody was like with it. They were in it. It wasn't like there weren't like chillers trying to grift you. There weren't like newbies being like, oh, like what about Cardano? And like no, it was like a very no, it was like it was super legit. And then the funniest thing was the place was smoke friendly with weed. And I found that out, and I had a friend who was doing like these like props of like, oh, like we'll make your project J's, and I'm just like, dude, you're not going to believe this. And so he was just giving out J's, and like the whole place, not the whole place, but like if you walk into this like one section, it's like completely hotboxed, and I'm just like, is this okay? I'm like, oh, people are like,
is this
like
okay?
I'm like, I guess it's fine. It's my event. I can do what I want. It's smoke friendly. So, but yeah, I think that was a really good event. And I'm excited for the events that we're going to throw next year.
Yeah, I had a great time there. I also had a great time in the Milady Rave as well too, which is
the Milady Lounge. I called that the Milady Lounge because it was chill. It wasn't like a rave. It was just like this giant room with like shitty speakers and like people. It was chill. Like I sometimes like I usually don't like crypto parties because I just hate mixing work and like going out like that. It's like my mind can't like get in like party mode when I'm with like a bunch of work people. I feel like I'm at a small college or something. And so I like show. So I was like fine with the Milady Lounge. I like the happy hour that we had. The conference itself was cool. I mean, it was just so big. Like it's just so much going on there. Like ETH Denver is like the premier like builder conference of North America in the ETH community. And so you just get everyone there.
Well, we were all there, and the whole Frax team was there too.
Yeah, they were all there, and Drake made it to the happy hour. It's funny because like they didn't even make it to that. Only Drake made it to the happy hour at the end.
But we got to meet. We both all got to meet like the new hires that they had at the time, and it was cool. It was nice to see everybody in one place.
Yeah, it was nice.
We'll be at ETH Denver this year as well too.
Yep. So, where were we? What month? April, May?
April. So last for April, we kicked off the Frax educational incentives as well as the Door Hacks Frax Build Hackathon.
Oh yeah, we did all that. Yeah, those were cool. We got some really cool Dune analytics graphs and Dune analytics, charts out of that. We have some new warriors on that front, which is cool. It's like Paul and a few other people. We found a few threaders, found a few good writers as well from that. And the Dora hacks thing, like that was the first hackathon like I ran that we ran, and like the first Frax hackathon. So it was like cool, like people coming up to like build on Frax like that.
I think you guys did a great job. There's some great projects that came out of that. Samier's Fraxmo Vault was one of them. Revest Finance had theirs as well too. So I think it was a win. Hopefully we do another hackathon this next year as well too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, let's go to May. crvUSD launches in May. Is this probably the biggest significant 3 months that we had, like March, April, May? So
yeah,
like CRV,
coming back from coming from the gutter. Oh yeah, then there was Zuzalu in May. That was interesting.
Oh yeah, that's right. You went out to Zuzalu for like
I call it the Talik Bilderberg. What was interesting about Zuzalu is like, I don't think it could ever be repeated again because there's like a time of the market where it was like the bottom of the bear. There really wasn't much going on. all the tourists have left, and so you're able to like filter out like the right people to come to like this location where Vitalik was, and he had all his special interests, like, hey, longevity people, AI people, ZK people, like all come through here. Like I'm doing network state people come through like for 2 months, and every like week we'll have a new thing. And so that was a really cool, unique experience. There's so many smart people there, and not a lot of, there was nothing about stablecoins or DeFi, which is like really, and it was just us and the QDAO guys, honestly, that were repping DeFi. But it was good. Like people were still like curious about it, especially stablecoins. So I was able to do like a few like workshops and stuff, and people are like into it. People like want to learn more about stablecoins and Frax, and so we definitely had our presence known.
So, additionally, we also had the Hourglass relaunch. PitchFX rebranded into Hourglass, and they launched their time-bound tokens. They've recently are going to convert their PitchFX into time-bound tokens. So, pretty significant for them at that point. Okay, let's go to June.
Nice arb.
Yeah. Let's go to June. This is the Frax FXS bottom month. That was just down only then. That was a tough month. Because it went down to 458, and in the middle of this, we had Michael's CRV position that was under threat.
Oh, yeah. And Fraxlend shone through a cut above all the other lending protocols.
Wait, no, that happened in August, or like this is a different time.
No, it happened in June.
The curve Vyper happened in August.
No, not the Vyper attack, but like, remember Michael's lending position started coming under threat. He got down to 60 cents. And
was this on Fraxlend?
Yeah, so he had his Fraxlend position.
That's why the interest rate was so high.
The Aave position as well too.
Oh, yeah. This guy had
wait, isn't Dave right? It was August, right?
No,
this is the second time. This is 2 times.
It happened twice. Oh,
no, August was the Vyper exploit. This was the everybody worried about Michael getting liquidated.
Wouldn't the Vyper exploit led to Michael's position being threatened?
No, remember Michael had a very nice low volatility period where he was able to sell 120 million CRV to essentially backstop his position. And then after that, that's when the volatility came. That's when the Vyper thing came. And he was selling at 40 cents. And then CRV went from 60 cents all the way down to 40 cents. And it's recovered since then. But, if he had been a month and a half later, then he potentially could have been liquidated.
Yeah. One man having all these lending protocols. So lending protocols.
But we actually got a lot of press from that because Fraxlend shone through.
Well, that's in August.
No. This was for them. Everybody was talking about Fraxlend, about how like if Michael was going to get liquidated, like we would be the ones that would liquidate the fastest and without any bad debt. Remember, like Abracadabra had to like jack up their interest rates to an incredible amount to discourage him from borrowing anymore, and Aave like just shut the market down.
Yeah, I remember that. Aave just shut it and get down.
Permissionless protocols for the win.
And then Michael goes out afterwards, drafts the Silo finance team to essentially create like a private lending market for Michael. And now they have I think at least over $100 million there, maybe even more, maybe $200 million there in Silo. So shout out Silo guys. We like you. You're doing a great job. Okay. Additionally, do you guys remember how the FraxETH V2 announcement came?
Yeah, that was on the Door Hacks presentation.
Like no pre-announcement. No, like, oh, hey, we're going to talk about FraxETH today. The title was called Frax Build LSD-Fi Technical Workshop. And Sam spent the entire 30 minutes or 45 minutes that he was there telling everything about FraxETH.
That was funny.
And then it's like, hey, Sam, want to come on for an interview? And then the interview is like, actually, let's talk about Frax Chain. And this is in June.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you never know what you're going to get.
And then after he did the technical workshop, we did our write up. He actually went over to the Rocket Pool Discord, which was kind of a shit show. And he was just answering everybody's questions inside of Discord. I think he spent over an hour there, just taking all the heat and dishing it right back.
Mm-hmm. Good for him going to like the line of fire like that.
The lion's den.
Okay, so we talked about the Frax price going down to 450. There was a lot of like worry within the community about like what would happen. So we resumed buybacks at that point. Ouroboros actually came out, wrote the updated buyback structure about how we would have two tranches. One would be like under 4 and the other one would be under 5. And the buybacks would only take place under those levels. And what this did is it helped shift the narrative about like what the FXS price should be. It brought us out from 450. We went back into the 6s, kind of stayed there for another 6 months. And then we've kind of pushed up into the 9s today. So really great narrative shifting at that point to turn around the bearishness on the Frax shares price at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, hold the line.
Yeah, you were totally right about Frax Chain. That's when we first got leaked Frax Chain as well too, was in June, as well as the update for Frax bonds as well.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally got our Chainlink integration for Stake Frax ETH that month. What a big month. Wow.
I feel like every month is a big month, but now just looking back,
there's so much that does this happen in other industries? Like just all this shit happening.
I don't know.
So many highs and lows. I feel like I can't be in any other industry because I would just be bored. I need to like be at the brink of death,
Junkie.
and it's so over. Yeah,
You would have to like get a hobby. Like,
I walk, I read, I go to the beach.
walk.
I walk and ponder. That's my hobby.
Yeah.
I'm a ponderer.
Like, what do normally people do that like after they put up their aprons after a 9 to 5, like they join bowling leagues or something?
Hey, if you're a normie and you're doing a bowling league, what are your hobbies? How do you touch grass?
How do you touch grass?
Honestly, they're probably living like healthier lives and have healthier mindsets than the rest of us that are just like glued online, just looking for the next thing.
Like we don't even feel anything more unless like in July, the biggest news of July was Multichain going bust. Over $100 million being lost out of a bridge.
Yeah. I was with the Cheetah guys when that happened, and I'm just like,
unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, July was we also were at ETCC. My favorite part about this year, I just like made up a name for like my position like in the Frax ecosystem. I'm like, you know what? I'm a core advocate. I'm a core advocate for Frax, and I'm gonna go do these speeches for Frax. And so I did my version of stablecoin maximalism. And I realized that the ETH Denver speech, I basically wrote like an essay, and it was probably like way too wordy and detailed. I'm really proud of the speech, but like it was more like an article than a speech. For stablecoin maximalism speech, I kind of just did like bullet points and like did it off the dome. And then I spoke at this hacker house, Jesse's hacker house, and I really did it off the dome. I had like nothing prepared. And I'm just going back and forth and on that. So that was good. And then we had a happy hour. We do a lot of happy hours with the Bear Chain boys. Shout out Smokey. Big shout out Spencer for helping organize like all those happy hours and stuff. And then we had Aave bringing people together.
That's right.
Aave. Yep. That was sick. That was the highlight of the year. Then it was just like, it's all done. I'm just kidding. What else? We had a few meetups. Remember, Sam? We had that meetup in New York in June.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That was, the one where you did the what was the one that you did before it came up to New York? Where you got that whole floor? Was that in New York or was that in SF?
No. Are you talking about? Stable Saloon? Oh, that was Stable Saloon. Yeah.
Stable Saloon. That was
in 2022.
That was in 2022. Yeah. Oh yeah, we had that nice meetup
in the park. Yeah, where I gave away the bucket hats.
Yeah. Can we just comment on like how nice Drake dresses? Like
Drake has stylish. Drake has the most swag.
He
Little
does.
strip.
And it doesn't show because his profile picture, he's like all scraggly and like he hasn't brushed his hair or anything. But then you like meet him in real life and he's like impeccably dressed.
He's just
like,
a Chad.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, he's got the best fashion sense out of everyone in the Frax community.
I don't know. I think Sam dresses pretty well too.
Sam does dress well. Yeah. But more in like LA style, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Drake is like the prototypical like Manhattanite, you know, with his like when he came.
Elite.
Yeah, when he came to that meetup, he was wearing it was summer, but no, it wasn't cold yet. I think he had like when he came to ETH Denver, he had this like beautiful camel coat and like a very nice like leather briefcase.
This isn't Frax in review, it's fashion.
Welcome to
review.
the sim. Welcome to the sim cast.
Sam, on the other hand, had this like at ETH Denver had this like crazy like shiny neon blue bomber vest or bomber jacket.
It's his profile picture.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that thing was pretty cool. So, East Coast, West Coast, which one's best?
Yeah, I also want to say how perfect the weather was in New York this summer and fall. Like the weather was impeccable. As someone from the Northeast, just like walking, like there being like the perfect amount of humidity, the perfect temperature, like it was like the weather, like so in New York in the summer and in the fall especially was like perfect.
Yeah, it was great this year.
Yeah.
Okay, speaking of perfect weather in August, we got the Frax V3 proposal. Came to light, posted about FinRes, said we were going to get stake Frax ETH, FXBs, and the creation of an all-weather stablecoin. We also had FraxGov launched, like initially. I believe it's ongoing. Did we talk about FraxGov yesterday in the space?
No.
I don't think it's fully implemented. It's not fully implemented yet. There's parts.
No, they're rolling it out.
Yeah. But my guess is that it needs to go fully live before they launch Frax Chain. But it's just I'm just making up stuff there. But it's just my kind of feeling about the FraxGov thing. If not Frax Chain, then it'll be fully live by Frax ETH v2 because Frax ETH v2 has to have FraxGov to work. Unfortunately, we also had the Vyper exploit for Curve. Which really rattled a lot of people about like here's a 18-month-old dependency that someone was able to use to steal.
That was terrifying. Because there's nothing you could do.
You had nothing to say.
Yeah, like imagine if that happened in Solidity, then it'd be so over.
Yeah, it is scary, right? Like Viper's one of those things. Like Curve has a what do you call it? Like a grant gauge to where you can contribute to the Vyper devs. And I don't think there's that many of them. I don't think there's that many people like we're actually working on Vyper, but it's this one dependency was a linchpin for like what, $30-40 million.
Yeah. And from talking to Curve Cap, basically it was like a transition period at the Vyper team of like the devs and responsibility. And it was something that just like that happened during the transition period that wasn't caught. And you know, that the result was the Vyper hack. I call it the Kundalini hack because it just like went up the stack. It went from like, you know, the language level, like, you know, and then it went up to the application level, and then it went up into the lending protocols, and then it went up into the price. Like it was all this stuff was happening, like all up into all these different levels of the stack of Curve. But like they made it out. They made it out, and Fraxlend shined. Fraxlend was the MVP. Drake the MVP. Not just best stressed.
I remember why I was so stressed about that hack is because when it initially happened, and they're saying like it's affecting like ETH pairs, and I was like, oh my god, like the Frax ETH pair is gonna get wrecked. We're gonna lose everything. I
would have been so sad.
Yeah.
I would have been so sad.
I was like, you know, we've just launched this thing and it's gotten significant liquidity now. We're going to have to deal with like a full, you know, Curve hack that's going to set us back. And thankfully they paired it against, so the issue was against like raw ETH, I believe. But the Frax ETH WETH was paired against WETH. And so it didn't have those issues. So sigh of relief there.
Amen.
We also had the largest Fraxlend liquidation on August 17th.
That's right.
So FXS price collapsed by more than 20% in an hour. There's massive liquidations across all of crypto. There was over $1 billion of liquidations that day. And a couple of whales in the Frax shares.
That was. Wait, do you guys remember we were doing that this week in Frax? And we were like looking at it and like, oh, there goes another one. There goes another one. Yeah.
Oh, that was so bad.
Yeah.
So the big whale Anon got liquidated for more than 100,000 Frax shares. Still the largest liquidation on the protocol.
Yeah. Like speaking of like the Vyper, I think that might have been like one of my favorite articles I wrote this year was like the Vyper article.
I like your articles a lot, Dave. I think they always do really well.
I wrote more this year than I did. Like this is the most I've wrote in years. I think I'm looking at the site now. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I did the vaporwave memes and cherry blossom thing memes.
Yeah, great article as well too.
Yeah. Wow.
I think the Zuzalu article is one of the more popular ones.
Zuzalu is really popular because that was like the first one to come out about Zuzalu.
Yeah.
Yep. I liked what I wrote with with Omid, that episode, the re-architecting trust, because I read that book in like 2 days, 3 days, and he was just so happy that somebody read the book.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people read it, but like I came prepared for that interview. I'm like, boom.
Yeah.
But we can talk about like the episodes later. But yeah, the Vyper hack, because it was just like, I believe that Mitch tweeted something. It was like, where it was just kind of like a little cocky or a little bit like, oh, like, you know, like something about, there was like a little prideful.
Oh yeah. It was
what
like
do you
something
tweet?
Like this would never happen on Curve or something.
No. It was, the forgotten.
I know what you're talking about though. He was a little bit cocky and it came to bite him in the ass later.
Oh, it said, he tweeted, so shocked that I haven't yet had been ever affected by DeFi hacks. And then it was like a smiling, like tear face. Yeah.
I think on a long enough time scale, everything gets hacked.
I don't say that.
I mean, like on an infinite time scale, everything goes to zero and everything gets hacked, right? So, you know, if it ends with the heat death of the universe, you know, I don't know if Bitcoin can continue through that, or maybe we'll just start like creating our own Dyson spheres and live for all eternity.
I don't know. Yeah, but okay. So we got August and September. September, that's when we went to Singapore.
Yeah. So also when we applied for the Arbitrum STIP grant, Prisma Finance launched, and we also added CryptoVestor onto the roster.
CryptoVestor was that was a great ad. We'll get to the interviews later, but been really enjoying his alphas articles. Like I actually remember like first talking to CryptoVestor back like when we started Flywheel, but he wasn't CryptoVestor yet. He was just like random anon. But then he just started asking like it was hard not to notice all the questions that he was asking. I'm like, damn, this dude is like the true alpha sniffer. He knows what to ask. He like knows all like the right buttons and like get the alpha out of Sam. Because like Sam, if you ask Sam, he will answer, and he'll get something out. You just gotta find the right questions. It's not like, you know, it's not like, oh, we're hiding this. It's like they've just released information at like very unplanned times, and so CryptoVestor just like knows.
Yeah, he's great, and we're super, just very grateful to have CryptoVestor on the team.
Yeah, and then Kit, what'd you think of Singapore?
Dude, I thought it was so vibrant and it was so diverse in the sense of like the type of people that were there. Like it was actually a pretty good blend of, you know, gaming and obviously DeFi, but also more importantly like TradFi. Like the TradFi presence, like lots and lots of TradFi presence. And sometimes I know we're in a bubble, but it's nice to be reminded that we are in a bubble, like amongst ourselves, not in the financial sense, but just like what we know, what we think we know, and our customs and our norms. And sometimes, like I had a question from a TradFi individual, and he was like, you know, why do coins need on-chain liquidity? You know, as if it was just I've never, that question never really hit me, that
Yeah.
way. So
Yeah. I don't think sometimes like if when you're really in something, when you're really in when you're in the fish tank, it's hard to like see outside of it. And so when you talk to people in TradFi and talk to people outside the industry, like they're barely scratching the surface of like where we're at now. You know what I mean? And like that doesn't really you don't really notice that until you like talk to TradFi people like that.
mhm.
I really liked the one event we went to, Kit, at the beginning. Who was it with? It was with the ZUSD boys, and our friends at
DRW
GM,
Cumberland.
the Cumberland or the Cumberland boys. I really
Yeah.
liked that event because it showed like the institutional interest in stablecoins, and like
Yeah.
yeah. And then I really liked our happy hour. We had really good food and we had a really good, just great people coming through.
Yeah.
That was a great venue too. Like looking at the Marina
Yeah.
Bay Sands. The conference itself, I will never forget Arthur Hayes' speech, pumping the fuck out of Filecoin. That was the whole speech. The whole speech. He was just like, all right, like, AI is going to be a thing. Like, they're going to need compute. They're going to need storage. They're not going to go to AWS. They're going to go to decentralized options. Filecoin is their best bet. Buy my bags. Peace. Come to my party. Peace. That was the speech. That was the speech. And you saw Filecoin go from like $1.50 to $2. And like I think there's like really something, especially with like this whole DePIN narrative or decomp narrative are coming,
Yeah.
like
Deep in.
and AI and whatever whatever else is out there, like Filecoin. I would not be, and especially with like the deep liquidity of Filecoin, I would not be surprised if Filecoin makes a run in 2024. Not financial advice.
Yeah. The deep in stuff I think could be the big like pump and dump of this cycle. Where
No, I think the pumping up of the cycle is DeFi.
DeFi?
Yeah,
What's the biggest DeFi
Decentralized
project?
science.
Decentralized science. I think there's more merit. I think it's because with decentralized physical infrastructure, like you can't fake that. You can't like really grift that, like, because it's like physical infrastructure. So if it's like shitty, like you'll know right away. Meanwhile, with like DeFi, you have these like peer-reviewed papers and like this and that. It could be like someone like selling you like snake oil or something. Like, granted, remember last year, like my prediction was like DeFi Ponzi's would take off, and like that actually started happening towards the end of the year. Like this interest in DeFi, I still think like that's gonna happen. Like still like think like that's gonna happen, but it's just like you gotta think of DeFi like biotech stocks. It's like
What's
it's
the
like
biggest? What's the biggest DeFi stock?
I mean, there's VitaDAO.
Right.
VitaDAO has had Zuzalu, longevity and stuff.
Were you impressed with them?
I really enjoy talking to the longevity people because there's such a diverse range. Like it's not one monolithic unit. There's like some people that are more into biohacking. There are other people that are more into like doing more natural things. There's like it's not like one uniform unit, and there's kind of like rivalries between the two. There's like other people that are like interested in like doing medical, like being in like a sovereign jurisdiction in order to have liberty over like what they choose to do with their body. So it's like being in the same way like what the SEC is to crypto, the FDA is to longevity. And so it's like really interesting seeing that compare. It's like really yeah. So it's interesting seeing that comparison.
Well, VitaDAO is at all-time highs or near all-time highs right now. So
I called it and fucking called it.
Yeah, the AI, maybe DeFi, DePIN stuff is definitely going to be the pump and dump of this cycle. Like I'm sure there's going to be some winners. There's going to be some real big winners this cycle, but
Yeah.
I have no idea how AI actually interfaces with crypto.
I think it's quite natural.
I don't think
Actually.
so. I don't know. I could be wrong here, and maybe I am, but knowing I listened to a podcast right with the Bloomberg guys talking with Core Scientific. So they rebranded themselves from being like a Bitcoin mining center to being a like AI mining center. And just to hear them talk just about the complexity of the amount of infrastructure that they had to build, and it's totally different products that you're building for. Like the infrastructure for AI has to have like 99.999% uptime, where even if you're down for like a few minutes, it significantly sets you back versus like other data centers that are up like more than you. And there's like different power requirements, different cooling, and everything really. Like even the chipsets as well too. Like getting access to those H100 chipsets that are needed, it's unbelievable. So I don't know. I mean, maybe something like Render or Tau can really like make an impact this cycle. But there's definitely like a level of
Golem.
Yeah.
That's how you know I'm old.
Golem. Oh my god, I haven't heard that in forever.
They have so much ETH. They have so much goddamn ETH.
I think they rebranded, didn't they? No,
I don't
they still
know.
exist as Golem. Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, deep. Yeah. Anyway, Singapore. What else happened in September?
That's all I have. I have those three things. I think. Thankfully, after the like massive news events and hacks and everything, it was pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Prisma. You know.
Prisma.
Okay, October Frax V3 rollout just 2 months ago.
Frax.
Successful. Frax launched. Stable Scarab creates Frax dashboard. FPI gets Frax and FXBs to be launched.
I think we had some of our best interviews in October, honestly.
You think so?
Do we have like F of X?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll go back and talk about some of the interviews at the end. So Aave added FXS. No more rage quits as well too. Became the meta.
No more rage quits.
Gotta suck it up.
Yeah, gotta suck it up and just wait it out. And FXBs were deployed on the testnet.
Any day now. I fully expect Christmas Day. Like, boom. Without a doubt. We should make like a prediction market. Like, will FXBs roll out on Christmas Day?
I think it'll be New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so October was good. November we had the registrar incident. Also, Prisma added, pretty much launched in November. You know what? I think FFX actually launched back in October as well too. So, congrats to both those guys for getting into the Convex ecosystem. Prisma launched Pitch FXS, switched to the TBTs. Aave put StakeFrax ETH back on their list, and then Axelar was chosen by Frax to handle their smaller chains. So we're getting much more recent. So we're only like maybe 3-4 weeks away from this. So I'm sure it's in everybody's mind still. Prices started going up again. Market felt good in November. And then here we are in December, and it's just been great. I thought the big news for this month that we'll see for next year is that Frax invested into crvUSD. Which I had not heard of crvUSD until I saw that announcement. But you saw the list of investors that they had. It was pretty much everybody.
For the viewers at home that aren't familiar, what is crvUSD?
Okay, I'm going to explain this because like I talked to the crvUSD guys. I kind of got it, but I'm just going to read what I wrote. So it's an omni-chain yield optimized money market that aims to simplify the cross-chain DeFi experience. They've been working on this product for almost 2 years, right? Mm-hmm. They raised 3.6 million from Curve, Convex, Pendle, Frax, and like a whole host of other people that'll be using crvUSD. So they're trying to provide a cohesive Web2-esque UI UX for DeFi users, consolidating steps, simplifying complex processes, and using some like intent-based routing system to execute transactions and optimize yields. And they're going to have a CVE token, which I don't know if it's going to be a part of Convex, but maybe we'll see. But they're going to integrate everybody. Essentially, it's going to be like a one-stop hub for everything DeFi.
Sounds like they're doing a lot.
Yeah. So maybe it's a sleeper for next year. We'll see.
Maybe.
And then, all the other stuff that happened in December, FraxChain testnet went live, Arbitrum STIP started, ETH redemptions go live, and then here we are today on.
Oh yeah, it was the ETH redemptions. That was the thing that dropped like a few minutes after we ended our Thursday broadcast. Of course.
Oh yeah, they just said it like here it goes. Yeah,
Like the Travis like here, literally posted a picture of chicken, bok, and bounced.
and you know what? I should have added that. I should have started each month with one of Travis's chickens. Now that I think about it.
It's a good year. I mean, I think the one commonality throughout the year was like Frax just kept on shipping.
Yeah.
Everything they said that they shipped.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So glad to see it. First like 6 months of the year was absolutely crazy. And then we've kind of rounded out into up only territory now. If I might say. So let's talk about episodes, right? Do you guys have anything off the cuff about top episodes? Because I've got a few notes actually.
I really just off the cuff. I really liked the Kane interview when he was talking about DJ and Spartan. That was like a real moment. Like, bro, like, why'd you leave? And then DJ and Spartan was like, I guess I have survivorship bias, and he like, gave us the cosign on Twitter. That was a really good interview, getting like Kane on, and they reached out to us like, hey, we want to come on your podcast. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, let's go. I think, like I said, I think October was like one of our biggest months for podcasts. We had, what was it? Did we have on? We had on FFX. Whenever we had like FFX, Winter Soldier, Stacey Murr, and Crypto Vester, like all those things. Those were just. I feel like that was like the turning point with the energy of the market, because before that it was like a lull, and after that it was just like boom. Yeah. I think like shout out to us for like being like the one-stop shop for alpha, like the people that we had on that are like blowing up right now, like Sommelier, doing super well right now, Panoptic doing super well right now, FFX doing super well right now. Like, we really we really know how to pick them. Having on EigenLayer at the beginning of the year, I think
that was my favorite actually, or like one of my
EigenLayer
favorites.
was your favorite.
Yeah.
So I had three favorite episodes from this year. EigenLayer was one of them, and all the three episodes that I chose directly affect Frax's product schedule sometime next year. So the EigenLayer interview was one of my favorites. I thought that Suram is like totally down to earth and just incredibly smart. And there's EigenLayer broke $1 billion in TVL this week, and it definitely shows from that interview when we talked to them. My second pick was Infinity Pools. I think like it's probably the most technical episode that we did of the year, but it's going to have huge ramifications for BAMM, and then also our interview with Sam K on Frax V2. So those are my three favorite for this year.
Damn.
Yeah.
Sam totally front ran me. I was going to say Infinity Pool as well, and also EigenLayer. But then my third one is different. I really like the Drosera one, with the scariest man on chain.
Yeah, that was a great one
FDR, too. That I like that one a lot. That was fun.
I think my favorites, my top three. I gotta say the Omid one. That was a real word sale interview. I think it's because I enjoyed reading the book, and then like being able to like go into I love being like reading something and then like getting to ask the author like directly the questions.
Exactly.
So like I would say him. The second one, I like the ones where we like break down threads. So like I would say like it's a tie between Winter Soldier and Stacey Murr, because one was for beginners with Stacey and the other was with Winter Soldier, and like breaking like down like how other people see Frax, like not just like how we see it, but like other people's like point of view and framework. And then the third one, I really enjoyed talking to LL DeFi. I know that was a new one and it's first in the head, but like I think that was just like a really fun conversation. Yeah. I felt like we all came in like 2017, so like I understand. It was cool like hearing his journey like through the last bear market, and like how and like just meeting him in person and whatnot, and then like seeing him again and like him coming on, and I love what he's doing with Huane on and everything that he's cooking up. So I would say like those are my top three, but it's hard to say.
Yeah. Yeah,
It really
it's
is.
actually why do we have to pick a top three? I think Sam just pigeonholed us into
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna break the mode. I'm gonna break the mode. I love the low DeFi one. So this is the one I mentioned earlier was more of like what I usually like, the hard shaped rotator pods. But the word cell ones like low DeFi, Ansem,
Ansem. Oh, how could we
yeah,
forget Ansem?
yeah. And then I'm looking at my list here as well too. And then with Wen Moon, Bobby
Good
On,
episode.
like
Yeah.
early days.
Are you talking about
So
all of them?
yeah, no, just those are. I know that's not all of them, but I feel like those three that I just rattled off for like the vibes was like my favorite. I
Yeah.
felt we had a great chat there.
I'm gonna say I think the my one of my favorite ones. It wasn't like a interview like with that like the standard interview. It was like when I interviewed Sam Lai at ETH Denver in the
Oh,
podcast
that's a
booth
good one.
because it was just like that moment. It was like the moment in time and everything. Like the speech was packed. It was like filled to the rafters. Like it was way too like the stage was way too small for the amount of people there, and like everybody was like waiting to like hear what he had like Sam had to say, and then like the crowd that was like around him for an hour after that asking him questions, and I'm like, Sam, like we gotta go, we gotta do this podcast interview, and then we were able to do. It was like really a moment, especially like how far like we've come like since like all the time ago back in the EP days, and then interviewing him there, like basically breaking down his speech and like that stable and like that's and I think that stablecoin maximalism speech set the tone for the rest of the year. Like it really like everything was in that framework of like, oh, like how is everything is a stablecoin, like how is this a stablecoin? It really was like the framework of how I viewed like everything else for the rest of the year. Ended up making a few speeches out of it myself, so I got to say like ETH Denver was a big moment for me.
Yeah. And
So
DeFi
looking
Cheetah.
at and DeFi Cheetah. So looking at the top 3 most watched episodes from this year, number 1 was actually everything you need to know about FraxETH with core dev Jack Cordery.
This is all time though.
No, for the past year.
For the past year.
Or wait, was that past year or just am I looking all time? Maybe
You're looking
I
at
was
all
wrong.
time.
I was looking at all time. That was last year. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I got you guys wrong. Then number 2, is this wrong? Oh, yeah. So the number 1 most watched episode for this year would have been the Ultra Bull case for Curve with Curve Cap.
Makes sense.
Actually,
Yeah.
that was our first podcast for 2023.
Oh, really? The first is the first? Nice.
Yes, exactly. Number 2 after that was Ansem with what do we call it? How to catch the next bull market with Ansem.
Yeah.
Talking about catching the next bull market.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Like literally leading the Solana manlets.
How did he even get that title? The king of
He,
retail.
because I mean, I think he's the Kobe of this cycle. Like,
Yeah.
like they had this.
Manlets. Yeah.
Yeah, no, because like if you think they had that podcast, it was like Kobe, Melton, Ansem,
Right.
and
The
Aave.
unnamed.
The unnamed podcast, and that was like him passing the torch to to Ansem, and like I mean, Ansem just like goes out, he uses all like everything that he trades, and like all this is like if you read his writings, like they're very detailed. And I remember like I was reading his 2022 thesis, and it was basically like too early because like everything like dipped and it was the bear market, but like a lot of things that he said in that thesis like ended up being right.
Yeah, and quick shout out to Ansem too. Yesterday he tweeted about my other Telegram gaming news channel, and instantly, like unprompted. So just shout out to Ansem for showing some love. Appreciate you.
Yeah. We got I think next year we had Ryan as a repeat guest, but I think we should have more.
Oh, I forgot Ryan too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was just with Ryan recently, and he was telling me how he sends that episode, the last one he did with us, to his clients because they answer so many questions about like entity formation. It's like if you're a crypto founder, like why don't pay like thousands of dollars for lawyers, just watch Flywheel for free.
Yeah. And I think FX Protocol also used like one of our clips as like the explainer videos on how this stuff works, right?
Yeah.
So that's so funny.
Yeah.
Who should we have back on? Like who should be a repeat guest?
I think the one that you and I picked, Sam, EigenLayer and Infinity Pool are like the top two that comes to mind, because
Yeah, sure,
like
it's
Infinity
always
Pool
got
is gonna
double.
come out soon. Like it's yeah. Plus,
I
Eigen just
think
hit that Billy, right? You said.
I think we
That's
should
it.
have Ansem back on.
Oh,
We should
obviously
get Ansem
Ansem
back
too. Obviously Ansem too.
Yeah.
on. Yeah. And Guart as well too. Guart is the meta for this cycle, honestly.
We were so early to Guart. I'm so proud of us. I mean, I saw him. He was fucking. I was like, this guy is like genuinely very funny and does very good criticisms. And like, once you realize he's like more of a BTC person, it's like everything he says makes sense.
Oh, and then Chainlink got sometime next year once we
My Chainlink God.
once
Yeah, we did a lot of great episodes.
yeah, Chainlink God was great. All right, do you guys have any predictions for 2024?
I feel like predictions are always so forced. It's like, oh, you're in predictions.
Same. Me too.
It's like, what do I predict for next year?
Well, we did predictions last year.
Yeah, I know.
did
I
you-
know. It's also
do you have
I'll
any-
kick it off.
Yeah, go
Mine
ahead.
is short. Mine is super short. I think Frax is going to shift to actually trying to do more BD and ecosystem stuff, like way more hands on. Because now that we have a Frax chain, we got to populate said chain, and I think it's gonna switch from a lot of core product announcements to more of, hey, look at this other project coming on building, and this other project coming on and building, this other project coming on and building. So switching product announcements with more like partnership / launch announcements. So changing from product innovation to partnership innovation.
I think that's a good prediction because, you know, Frax builds everything they really like. A lot of what they built, what they needed built, they built in 2022, 2023. In 2024, they'll still be shipping. But as you said, as Sam said, it sounds like they have an announcement every other month, and I'm sure a lot of those announcements are gonna be big BD announcements. So yeah, I could definitely see that happening. And like when you have an ecosystem, like you got to do some BD, and there's no better way to do BD than with your founder out there in the front lines.
And with Flywheel as
And with
the
Flywheel.
wingman.
Okay,
As a wingman.
guys,
Hey.
I'm just going to stop you here because your takes aren't hot enough. I am going to say that within the first 6 months, so June, right? Okay, by the end of Q2 or 6 months from whatever the Frax chain launch date, there's $1 billion of TVL in Frax chain.
That's not hot at all. We already have 2 billion by ourselves.
No, but like I understand we can just port everything over there, but like on chain TVL in Frax chain is going to be over $1 billion.
I got a hot one. I got a hot one.
Let's hear it.
Stablecoins will reach $1 trillion in market cap collectively.
Next year?
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Dude, that's crazy. That's like 100x. I mean, sorry, that's like a 10x from like the highs, right? Because the high was like 160 billion or something like that.
I can see 10xing.
So I'm checking stablecoins WTF right now, and what's the total market cap?
It's a whole lot of treasuries.
It's a whole.
That's one happy banker somewhere.
There looks to be about like 130 or 140 billion dollars worth, or sorry, 127 billion dollars worth of stablecoins. So I think it's entirely possible.
I think we're gonna see $1 trillion in stablecoins.
So you really think it's 10x, huh?
Yeah.
What do you got, Kit?
In circuit, yeah.
Oh, for that number? Oh man. Okay, so I'm just gonna do over or under $1 trillion. I think next year it will be under $1 trillion, but the year after, I think it's one of those things when everything everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
Like
let me correct my $1 trillion, not TVL, but like in circulation.
Total market
that
cap.
includes essentially
Yeah.
total market cap.
Yeah. So it's like 127 billion now, and so 10x in the that would be incredible.
Yeah, I think you can definitely see that.
I got another one. 2024 is the year that we flip Rocket Pool.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
God.
That's not that hot. It's
Is
like
it?
we all expect that.
I mean, I thought we were going to flip it this year, but they've kind of kept their.
I got one. I got a hot take.
Wait, no. Before
Actually,
you
no.
go, can I just compliment Sam's take? And I 100% agree with that, because right now, year to date, we're earning 50% more than Rocket Pool does. So in a year's time, we would have double the number of yield for everybody. So then there's no other way for you to deny. But yes,
Yeah.
go ahead, Dave.
Actually, no, I don't know if this is going to happen next year. I don't want to say this is like a hot. Can this be for like the next 2 years? Because I don't want to think. I don't think it's going to happen next year. I think there'll be like a black swan around restaking. I think when you just like rehypothecate.
I was just about to say this. Like there's some critical bug in EigenLayer, and it
doesn't have to be EigenLayer. It could be like something else.
Yeah.
But yeah. Just like you rehypothecate. It's like, geez. I know it's an interesting thing. It's like Ethereum's at this point where like the most exciting thing is, the thing that's like really pushing things forward is like EigenLayer, which is like kind of the equivalent. It's like the treasuries. It's like looping up on treasuries, but on ETH. While the most exciting thing on like Solana is like meme coins and airdrops and all this like stuff happening that really attracts retail. While this is like more attracting like your standard, like this would be the stuff that would attract like the suits and like, or like the old guard of Ethereum, but it's not really bringing in retail. Like retail's not really excited about like EigenLayer.
Yeah. And if there's not a critical bug in the EigenLayer code, then there's going to be something that happens with the blast multisig, that it gets bricked.
Got a blast.
Or it gets hacked or something.
Oh God, the memes are going to be so savage.
Yeah.
The over under on Blast just launching super successfully with no hiccups and not breaking anything, and I don't know. There has to be some excess risk there that we're not taking into account. It's such a crowded trade. Let's see what else we got. Oh, actually, here's the thing. BAMM TVL breaks 250 million by the end of the year. Or maybe that's a little bit low.
Dope.
Maybe a billion is probably better.
Billion, yeah. Let's get it up to a B.
You got anything else?
I think 250 is more realistic. But I was just thinking of trends of like modularity versus monolithic. So we talked about restaking, right? The other infrastructure like innovation about this year was like modularity, right? I think, I don't know. Let's see if this modular world comes about and does it really deliver on the promise of, infinite scalability, cheaper everything everywhere, right? Let's see if that really happens.
Yeah,
I have another prediction, guys. We will see a stablecoin bill go to the floor. It doesn't necessarily have to get passed, but it will like make it past committee and like be voted on in the House and Senate.
You know what? I have a really good guess. So that can come on and talk about this. We'll have him on in January sometime. You'll really enjoy him. He's the COO for the Digital Chamber of Commerce. And I think he might be able to walk us through this a bit more, because we talked about it, and like it's just like nothing's making it through anything right now. Everybody just hates crypto, or they like it, and there's way too much of a divide right now. And it's interesting to hear him talk. He said like pre-FTX, like crypto was a very non-political subject. Like there was people that probably didn't like it because they were boomers, but it didn't divide the aisle like it does now.
Yeah. I'm in a camp. I don't think we'll ever see a USC BDC. I don't think we'll ever see that.
I agree.
I don't think it makes any sense. Like, it's much better model for like the US government to have stable coins and have this unlimited black hole of US debt that you've just replaced China with like all these stablecoin issuers, and like you have them by the balls anyway, as we see with Tether, having like the Secret Service and FBI on it. Like, you get like the same level of surveillance. I'm speaking like objectively. I'm like one for privacy and stuff, but like I'm seeing like if I'm like the US government, I like want stablecoins to be a thing because I have a limited buyer of my debt and I can surveil like way better than before.
I have one spicy prediction. I think after the ETF launches, maybe a month after or whatnot, that marks the top for the year.
Oh,
I think that's a really good
Bro.
position.
no.
Yeah,
I think it's a really
maybe
good
month or two
prediction.
after, like, boom, that just marks the top for the year, and then the rest of the year we just focus on making great content.
No, that was
No, but I think that's a really good prediction because it's like the Cointelegraph intern saw like that, like was like that when he tweeted like ETF approved, and like it just like started like this like run up that we see now. Like I think you're gonna and I think one of my favorite this week's in Frax was when you're talking about the gold ETF, how like when it was approved you saw this spike, but then you crabbed because after it gets approved, it's not like you can like click in all the boom, all like the pension plans and endowments and like
Right.
all the
Sales
like
take a long time. Yeah,
sales take a long time. And so then eventually like, but then throughout the year, you're going to see it like everybody get in. And then I think like towards the end of the year, you're going to see like another run up. But I don't know how this cycle will compare to like the past two cycles. Because last cycle was a double top. That was like Dogecoin run up and then like Ohm run up.
Yeah,
and
actually,
then
I got a question to ask you, Dave. Is like, do you think, and Sam, do you think we're going to have a higher high in this cycle? Everyone says every cycle is bigger than the last. Thoughts?
I think this cycle would be big, like way bigger than last cycle. I think last cycle we were suppressed by, my theory is like we were suppressed by like Alameda just like selling ETH and BTC in favor of their shitcoin bags and to donate to politicians and to throw concerts. Like I think they were just trolling us when they had like BTC at 69K. And like I don't think ETH even reached like 4,000 or 5,000 or something.
4,500 was.
They reached 4,500. Like I thought both were going to go way higher this cycle. And so I think when you don't have like an actor, a malicious actor like Alameda, SPF there, and you have like ETF coming in, like ETF with like that much money going into Bitcoin, and then maybe you have like the trend that El Salvador started of like, you know, Bitcoin being legal tender, like central banks having it on their balance sheet. You're probably going to have more small countries do that. I think like Bitcoin can just like really, 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 really rip faces off, like way more than people expect. Maybe I'm just being like bullish, but I think it can like.
it definitely can.
I think it can go like, I don't know where in the six figs, but it's like it will go in the six figs, and then
do you think this big cycle happens like after the ETF, or like a year after, or not a year, but a period after the ETF launch, or do you think it's kind of like one big piece?
No, I think no. It doesn't happen in one big piece. It probably happens like you'll probably see like the main ripping happen in like 2025. When like all the inflows into the ETF happens, and then like ETH figures its shit out, and like it has like it'll crown like a few L2s that's like, okay, like let's like, these are like the L2s that we're gonna like
the heir apparent
Ethereum Frax chain.
Okay, I got one, and Kit, you'll probably like this. So Ripple and Cardano drop out of the top 10. But they're replaced. Something that replaces them has to do with gaming somehow. So it's either like Parallel, or maybe Axie comes back. I don't know. Sandbox, Magic.
I think it's Parallel. I think Prime like goes to.
Yeah.
I think Prime is the one.
Beam. I don't know. Like one of these ones just goes on a rip and hits the top 10.
I hope so. I mean, all of them. Not financial advice. Okay. I mean, I like that prediction. I think we might be. So part of me wants to agree with you in that like imagination and excitement always front run fundamentals. And because I definitely don't see the fundamentals of the Web3 gaming space kind of would match like being a top 10 coin. But I can imagine people's excitement for that future launching it into a top 10 coin.
Well, let me ask you a question, right? So Immutable X is the highest market cap coin in the gaming sector. And it's got a $2.9 billion market cap. For it to break into the top 10, it would need to break 16 billion. So it would need to do like a 5x from here, roughly. I don't see that why that couldn't happen.
That's a fair take. I thought you were referring to like individual IP names, because IMX is gonna get re-rated a couple times as obviously an L2 / like alt L1 with a gaming angle. So it has kind of two re-ratings working for it. But if you were to look at just like pure gaming, I feel it might be a bit tougher. But for IMX, just also disclosure, I do hold IMX. So, I think that is like what you said is actually should be highlighted is when people look at gaming beta, they're probably going to look at AXS and IMX as like just, normies or DeFi folks who just wants to see what's going on with gaming. Those are probably the two betas that they just check to see. So that's why I think money will flow into there like first. It'll be like the quote, like the ETH equivalent of gaming.
Yeah, I think gaming is going to be huge next year. I saw some news the other day about how MapleSword raised $100 million internally from their parent company to build out Web3. Like Prime is like the thing. Like Prime could be it, right? We could be looking up and seeing Prime as $100 billion, or not 100, but like a $10 billion market cap token.
Yeah. I think it will run up. Yeah.
The Star Wars of our generation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Could be. But yeah.
Yeah. I think that wraps it up for predictions. We've been going an hour 20 for this one.
Yeah.
So I think this wraps up. Yeah, gotta cut it here. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Year in review of Frax, our favorite moments at Flywheel, and predictions for next year. And we'll see. We wish everybody a happy and safe new year, and we hope everyone enjoys themselves. Be safe, and we'll see you next year.
See ya.
Everything said on this episode is not financial or tax advice. This channel is strictly for educational purposes and is not an investment advice or solicitation to buy or sell any assets or to make any financial decisions. This video is not tax advice whatsoever. Please talk to your accountant and do your own research.